So let's get started with the Inner Dimensions and Healthy Cultures Hub. So this session is all about providing some brief updates. So maybe if we give you each, let's say, 3 minutes to give a little update, and then we can have sort of some questions at the end from anyone. Thank you. Who's with us from Inner Dimensions? Oh, heaps of you. Amazing. Who's gonna give the update then?
Thanks, Megan. Yeah, on behalf of Michael and Joy, we're really happy to talk to you about the Inner Dimensions and Healthy Cultures Hub. We're very early in our development, but we've sort of been having a few conversations about how we can promote the hub. Some of the issues that we're looking at is how that our institutions, our outer governance, if you like, is really shaped by our inner governance. So the quality of our institutions really depends on how we function internally. And unfortunately, with neoliberal capitalism and its precedent institutions, they have really decreased our capacity to work together in a collaborative way that we need to tackle the challenges that we have. So we're really interested in things like the contemplative sciences and things like meditation, etc., to really work on our inner governance. I'll just invite Michael and Joy to add anything to that if they wish to.
Please do, Michael. We have more time than I thought, so yeah, take a bit more time, absolutely.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that we're still very new, but we've had a few really nice meetings, and it's so much about actually experiencing this inner dimension, to embody it together as a group and see what emerges from that. So I really like what's happened so far in our meetings. Yeah, I think Joy's frozen there. I don't know. Oh no, you're there.
Can I just ask, a lot of us just came over just now from the other session because we were waiting for it to finish. So we didn't hear what this hub was about. And it would be great to just hear a quick recap for those who waited in the other session about what this hub is actually about. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely, Chris. Did you want to just go through that again? No worries, we've got time.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. So our hub is really about, because we know there's two approaches to the huge challenges that we have, and one is a technological approach to say that, well, we can sort our problems via technology. The other is that we need to change human behaviour, that it's really a behavioural, a psychosocial challenge is our major challenge. So the inner dimension is really relates to how we can focus on our inner capacity to work together and satisfy our psychological needs through the way that we organise society. And it's really the quality of our inner governance that determines the quality of our outer governance systems. So there's no way around actually working on our inner governance. And personally, I believe a community-based view, and I'm pleased to see Paul is here, who's really interested in inner transition. I think inner transition and the whole transition movement has a huge contribution to make, and even through things like deliberative democracy, etc. But it's really going back to who we are as a human species and looking at our actual needs, whether spiritual, connecting with nature, etc. is a really important part of that. So going back to Joy and Michael, if there's anything you want to add.
I'd be happy to so just express it slightly differently, because I think there's lots of different ways of understanding the same concept. And so I feel quite strongly that this is about a shift in consciousness, a shift in awareness that's needed on a societal level. So the shift from resource-based taking to into being and living with and stewarding. So for me, that's the inner dimension. There's a shift that needs to happen there, because societies that have maintained that interbeingness as part of their culture, they're the ones currently stewarding the healthiest areas of the planet. And those of us that are based on this resource thinking we can take and take, you know, the exponential growth and all the rest of it that's based around the economy, we're the ones that are destroying it. So that's kind of another angle. It's the same thing, just expressed in a slightly different way. So I just thought I'd throw that in for you to think about. Thank you very much.
Fabulous, thank you. Any final comments you wanted to make for your hub?
There's a brief summary on the NENA website too, if you want to, it's just a few paragraphs that covers everything too.
So we would love people to join us, whatever interest you have. There's a whole plethora of different angles you can bring to it. But anybody who feels any of that resonates with them, we would love to have some new people join us. Thanks.
Wonderful. Oh, there goes my time. Thank you so much, and thank you for all that you're doing. You know, as another one of the kind of busy volunteers in NENA, I know, yeah, what it takes to put energy and the time in, and yeah, so grateful, and it's wonderful to hear what others are up to. Sarah, no, you've got to scoot off, so love to have you next.
Thank you, Megan. Hi everyone, good afternoon. Just acknowledging the custodians of the land in which I am sitting, the Woromai, and paying my respects to elders past, present and future, and to any other Indigenous peoples here today. So we've got, it's kind of new as well, Women in the New Economy, and it's really about, well, it's interesting, there's a narratives hub here too, but it's really about telling the stories of women and women identifying in the new economy as a means to kind of make sense of and visibilize the wisdoms and survivance and knowledges, and also to visibilize and make meaning and strategies in terms of the barriers and systemic kind of gendered, but also raced barriers that cut across different subjects in terms of their capacities to be able to create and participate in the new economy in all its elements, from, you know, cooperatives to visioning to healing practices to planting to policy to, yeah. And so this is what we're trying to make sense of, and we have an initial kind of project which is all about interviewing women and women identifying across the network to discover this and to do some workshops together to thematize. So I'm a philosopher, but I'm a popular educator as well. That I combine the two, and so like thematizing and making meaning together, and also learning from other women in movement and communities in movement. And one of the key concepts I think that comes up, and I did a workshop earlier in the year about this, a webinar, is social reproduction. So everything that comes under the visible pyramid, right, or the iceberg, at the top is like the formal world of work or policy or politics. And often what makes that possible are the labels of social reproduction. So the labels of emotional, mental, physical, material, health, housing, education, that often kind of slip off in our considerations of why certain people are here and why others aren't, and what does it mean when these labors of social reproduction are individualized. So what often happens is there's a blame shame, you know, I'm not bloody managing to do X, Y, Z because I'm not time managing, or, you know, these are not labors that are valuable. But actually, when we think about these as labors that are valuable and central to the creation of life nurturing means of life and society, we can then also think about them as nodes and real important elements in our new economies in the plural. and think about them collectively. So it also then expands to questions of housing and obviously food and health and mental well-being and healing and stuff. So this is what we're trying to explore. And we'd also like to set up a mentoring program, and we've put in an application for funding to see if we can kind of do this on a more systematic level, this storytelling and this sharing of knowledges and this expanding and visibilizing certain elements of the new economies. So that we'd like to set up a mentoring too. And so anybody, and it's new, we're new, so if anybody wants to, any women identifying would like to participate in this research, in this initial collaborative research project, that would be fab. And then where we go with it kind of is up to us. Like, it's not, yeah, so that's that one.
Fabulous, Sarah, thank you. I think you've got some takers, so check the chat box there. Yeah. Wonderful. So who did we have next? Kiela, is it you speaking on behalf of the Health Hub? Did I get that right?
I think I'll start. I'm Christine Doan.
Oh, thanks, Christine.
And I'm I'm actually a newbie in the Health and Wellbeing Hub. So I may have some of the history wrong, and I may actually have some of the other things wrong. But in fact, we're so inclusive and we're just forming. So it may not make a difference that I don't have the history perfectly, or that I haven't been part of all of the development. But the place that we're at right now is just about at the forming stage, where we're getting to know each other. There are 25 people on the mailing list. It's quite a substantial list. It's been going on for, I think, 4 or 5 months now. And we're trying to decide how we can get balance into our group such that we get a little bit of structure, but don't lose the inspiration, and that we don't drive ourselves nuts trying to get things on paper and make decisions too quickly or create too much structure too quickly, so that we can all keep inspired, keep learning about what each other's journeys are, and begin to delve into the issues that we are most interested in around health and well-being, because it's a huge topic. But one of the things that we have worked on that has been, that sort of structural work, but has been very poetic and very heartwarming and very, it's really produced the togetherness of the group, has been Kalia's contribution of an absolutely beautiful purpose and vision. And I would like her to read that, because it's her production mostly, and we have all been carried away by its poetic beauty and the truth of it deep in our hearts. So Kalia, would you like to take over? I hope your internet's going to hold up. Mine has so far.
I've been having lots of problems this morning connecting in and things like that. So I will just attempt to share screen here and see how I go.
Thanks, Kalia. If you share screen, and then it might help to turn your camera off. Yeah.
Probably.
Sorry, just a moment.
That's okay.
It's saying, just a moment. So it's saying Zoom meeting not responding. Oh no.
So Kalia, what I might offer is, how about you email that to me? I'll put it in my, I'll put it in the chat box, and we can move to another hub. And then once I receive the email, I'll share it for you, and you can speak to it.
What a wonderful solution. Thank you so much, Megan.
Did you catch that, Kalia?
Yes, thank you.
Yep,
can
awesome.
You hear me?
Yep, can hear you. I'll put my email in just 1 second.
The whole screen's just gone white for me. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. We're all adapting. It's a work in progress, the whole conference. Wonderful. So we will come back to you. We're really looking forward to seeing that. So Chris, if you're ready to speak on behalf of the Narratives Hub, that would be awesome.
Sure, thanks, Megan. So Chris Reedy from the Institute for Sustainable Futures. I am co-convening the Narratives and Storytelling Hub with Michelle Maloney. and we only started this year. I did a webinar late in 2019 about narratives and storytelling, and out of that grew the idea of having this hub. And our objectives are really about trying to provide a space for NENA members to oh, I lost my thing that I was looking at because the screen sharing is happening. Just a second. Providing a space for NENA members to look at the role of stories and narratives in the transformation towards a new economy. And I was just thinking, as you know, hearing about the Inner Dimensions Hub and hearing about the women in the New Economy Hub and now the Health Hub. I mean, all these hubs are about aspects that we want to see in the new narrative, the narrative that's going to support a next economy or new economies. And so I got interested in this space of narrative really probably about 4 years ago now, in some work of the International Transformations Community, which is an academic community of mainly social scientists who are trying to work towards transformations towards sustainable futures, and felt that one of the big challenges there is overcoming the dominant narrative of neoliberal capitalism and how we get past that, and the ideas that are so steeped in our culture and in politics and the media, that getting a different narrative forward is hard to do. And so I've been trying to work in various international networks towards that goal, and increasingly trying to work through NENA towards that goal. So we want to help telling the big story of what the next economy is about. What are the elements that we want to promote as part of that? How does NENA's communications reflect ideas about what the new economy might look like? We want to share knowledge with people about how to be good storytellers. What are the principles of good storytelling? Because certainly those who are defending the existing economy are using those principles, and so we need to be able to work effectively in our communications with those kind of tools. How can we keep drawing attention to the problems of the dominant economic narratives, the absurdity of those narratives, continue to critique them and point out that they're not delivering human well-being or ecological integrity, and look for new story ideas, stories, narratives that can support transformation. And we want to do a lot of action research along the way. So we don't really know what a new narrative or multiple new narratives to support a new economy will look like, but we can try different things and see what works and what doesn't. We had a few meetings this year. We had a mini workshop, was probably the most significant of them, where we tackled a few big questions along the lines of what I'm talking about. I brought in some of the language that some of the international networks that are working towards the new economy are using. Some of the academic work that I've done looking at the kind of common ground across different narratives in transformative networks. And we're starting to think in that workshop about how could you weave some of these into a story that really works for Australia. And of course, what does a decolonial approach to narrative look like? How can we build solidarity with First Nations people in our storytelling? How can we use stories to undermine neoliberal capitalism? And how can we get towards a concrete action plan for NENA in terms of its communication strategies? And that, I think, is particularly what we'll start to focus on going into next year. There were a lot of folks came along to the mini workshop. We played around with doing lots of sticky notes in response to those questions, and lots of really fascinating things came out, from the idea of telling radical fairy tales to how to integrate ancient deep wisdom with new technologies, to Australia Remade the musical, to using the power of satire, which is really strong in Australia, to developing a new kind of romantic comedy that challenges the Hollywood one and helps people to see what a new economy might look like. So lots of ideas that have been generated so far in the hub. Where to from here is that we've got our next meeting's coming up in just over a week, actually, Monday week, 30th of November. So if you're interested in thinking about narrative and storytelling, please come and join us. You can email me, you can email Michelle or Rhiannon, and we'll make sure that you get the Zoom details for that. In 2021, we want to really move into thinking about NENA's comms strategy for the year and what are messages that NENA can use that help us to move towards building a new economic narrative and can help people to see themselves as part of that story. We want to keep exploring what an Australian next economic narrative looks like. Love to develop a narrative and storytelling resource hub and web portal with tips and tricks for how to work with story and narrative. And we want to learn together as a network and really welcome people to come in. And as other people were talking, I was thinking I also want to talk to all the other hubs about what they see as the key ideas and elements that need to be part of this narrative, because I think the hubs are a really strong indicator of what people do see as important. And so having a look at what's actually bubbled up, where is the energy, might be quite interesting for things that we want to incorporate into a new narrative. But other ideas really welcome. Would love to have you join us in that work.
Thank you so much, Chris. Wonderful. So Kalia, I have received that from you. So I'm just going to share my screen now. And you just guide me through, and I will scroll down when you're ready. Is Kalia still here?
Oh, sorry, I'm just, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
So, yeah, at the point that Christine and I joined the hub, it was called the Health Hub, and just over some months of all of our lively discussion, we have decided to expand the name to be the Health and Wellbeing Hub. So yeah, I just think it's just in line with what Joy was talking about, you know, the consciousness rising about exactly what is it that we vision for the future. So in the last few meetings that we've been having, we've been working with our vision and having some really interesting discussions about exactly how do we see health and our well-being, and how does it fit into the changes that are coming. So this what we've managed to identify is that initially for us, the purpose that we're working towards at the moment is just to inspire each other in the work that each of us is already, excuse me, already engaging in our individual communities. So unlike the hubs that are located in a specific area like Newcastle and Perth, our hubs are actually, our people come from all over Australia, and also I think we've got at least one member that's tuning in from overseas at the moment, maybe two, I can't remember. So yeah, it's just about us supporting each other and inspiring each other to continue with the work that we're already doing in our communities, and to inspire others who are embarking on projects in the near future. And so we've had some of our members sharing stories of like their work in different sectors within the health and wellbeing area. And Even though our initial purpose is about supporting each other, we also have a broader vision, which is about, you know, branching out and going out, yeah, so I'll just read out our vision here. We recognise the interconnected web of life as being the source of well-being for all. We will create well-being for ourselves, our communities and our ecosystems, understanding that holistic health and well-being can only fully be realised for ourselves when holistic well-being is achieved for all life forms on the planet. When you replace the I in illness with we, you create wellness for all. I am you. My well-being depends on your well-being, and our collective health is deeply rooted in our connection to Mother Earth and her plants, animals, air, water and land that sustains us. So if you could just scroll it up a little bit, please, Megan, to the last bit. So we've just gone into a little bit more specifics here about some of the ways that we may bring about our vision in the health and wellbeing area. Our mission is reimagining our healthcare systems, reinstating wellbeing as the commonwealth of humanity, bringing revolutionary love and dignity to every being, regenerating our earth and unifying our future, revillaging our relationships and our communities, birthing our collective wellbeing revolution, holding enhancement of life as our creed and calling, reclaiming our role as careholders of each other, co-flourishing the more beautiful world into being, weaving gossamer threads of justice, equality, liberty, diversity and harmony through all tiers of our community. So this is actually a work in progress at the moment. We're still commenting on this and still having lively discussions, and it will grow and change over the months and years as the new members join, and maybe as our goals and our visions change. So we did agree on that when we embarked on this, that it would be a moving and changing thing for us as a group. The last thing that I just wanted to speak to was in regard to wellbeing. For me personally, I think like all of us that are gathering together for this conference and engaging in this sort of work, I feel like, you know, we're all like on the front lines in one way or another. And I feel like we have one hand in the work of the dismantling of the old system and the old ways and the old, and another hand, we have our other hand in the rebuilding of this vision that we all hold for a new world. And that is quite a lot of, you know, juggling there for us to have a foot in both, you know, worlds like that. And it can be quite exhausting. And I find that conferences like this and being a part of NENA and other similar minded collectives, it is really essential to our health and well-being to kind of gather together like this and to share stories and share inspiration, to keep each other going, not just to inspire out in the wider world and bring new people into this vision that we hold, but to help each other hold that vision and to inspire us into new ways to bring about that vision that we hold. So I'm really grateful to be a part of a conference like this. For that reason, I've just been so inspired this weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Kalia. Thank you so much. I'd just like to pause for 20 seconds and ask, is there anyone else on the call that is involved in a NENA hub that would like to share today on what your hub is up to? Okay, sounds good. So then I will, Christine, I know, would like to add something. And then after Christine, yeah, just open it up for questions to anyone or each other in any way you like. Thanks, Christine.
That's great. Thank you, Megan. And thanks, Kalia. And thank you for that beautiful poetic vision. It really brought us all to tears when it was first revealed to us, and we just found it so stunning and so inspiring. But we'd like to inspire any of you who have a professional or a personal interest in health to join our Health Hub. And if you want to put your email in the chat, we will pick it up and join you in on the list. And we're going to cover everything from energy healing to transformative technology, devices to help you be healthy. So we'll have a broad range, and there will be a place for anyone who's interested in health and well-being, and we welcome all of you. Thank you so much. I think you're muted, Megan.
Hi, good times. Thanks. If you have a question for anyone in the hubs, you're welcome to put a Y in the chat box, or if you raise your hand, if you've got your camera on. Yeah, go for it, Christine.
Well, I'd just like to ask each of you, you know, there are so many aspects of what you're talking about, the narrative, how do we tell the story, that quality of inner governance that I think it was Joy was talking about. She brought that, that was such a beautiful phrase. How can we bring all of the hubs together to get a narrative into the health hub and some health into the narrative? And you see what I'm saying? How would that work?
Yeah, that's a great question.
It's just a thought, and it wouldn't be something necessarily that would be time consuming or go on endlessly week after week, but maybe one meeting in a quarter, a half a year, or once a year.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe, I mean, I think that's a really awesome question maybe to round us out on, and I'm happy to spend the next kind of, 2 to 3 minutes if people want to unmute and share their suggestions or share suggestions in the chat box. And that'd be a really nice way to sort of finish up, to know that we have something to go towards. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Anyone have some ideas about that great suggestion?
Yep, I have a way of looking at it. But to do it, I'll share my screen. I'll be brief. Oh, I need to have access, however.
Go now, please, Andrew. Yeah.
Okay. Thing is, there's so many dimensions. You can make massive lists, and underneath the list, there's massive amounts of detail. So here's a way to kind of synthesize it in terms of operating principles as a start on a communication strategy. Come on, PowerPoint. Sorry, I should have set this up beforehand.
Maybe while you're doing that, Andrew,
Yeah,
does anyone else have an idea or a suggestion and wanted to unmute and share that?
Yeah, I think both having a joint meeting of all these hubs that have so much in common, a joint, perhaps a bit of a workshop would be great. And then also on the website to have some sort of document that highlights those interconnections, could be one way to go.
We can share our stories, what we're doing, a bit like this. And then we can map together the crossovers. We can do that together. Make
so I sorted out the, I sorted out the PowerPoint. Would this be appropriate time to have a look?
Yeah, do you think it will just be 1 minute, Andrew?
Yeah,
Because we do need to go straight to the next session. Yeah, okay, go for it.
Okay, so this is a cartoon that illustrates what we're dealing with. Familiar stuff to everybody here, I'm sure. So it's a wicked problem. Faced with a wicked problem, it helps to have a positive goal to work towards. Joanna Macy and others use the term a life-affirming culture. That seems to capture much of environmental progressive values. The question is how to seed it into the culture. My thought is that the members of the millions of groups could become citizen educators. And I've set up Inspiring Transition with tools to carry that out. There are two operating principles of a life-affirming culture, both already reflected in our conversation. So it's got to be environmentally sustainable, and we have to care for people on the planet. And that shows up as all the wonderful practical stuff that's going on already and which we need to amplify. So the challenge to be met is how do we seed this into mainstream thinking? And my thought is we invite people we know in our networks to be citizen educators and talk to their friends and neighbors because we're all part of the mainstream.
Fabulous. Thank you, Andrew. So we are at 2 o'clock. What a great way to finish up with, wanting to connect more into the future. We'll keep that chat and have a look at what the suggestions were. And by all means, I guess, email through to that central New Economy email. I can't remember what it is now. Rhiannon, what's the main New Economy? NENA@neweconomy.org.au, I think it is, yeah. With any other suggestions about how we as the hubs can get together more and share and all those different options. Thank you to all the hubs that presented today and everyone that contributed. And I think that's it. I'll see you in the next Zoom session.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Megan. That's everyone.